Jake sees a headline on a Tuesday morning. U.S. Air Force orders 100 F-35 fighter jets. Total contract value, $8 billion. And Jake does the math automatically. $8 billion divided by 100, $80 million per aircraft. And he thinks, that is an enormous amount of money for one airplane. And then he learns something that makes $80 million sound almost modest. Because the purchase price of a modern fighter jet is not the cost of a modern fighter jet. The purchase price is merely the entry fee to a financial commitment that will consume resources for the next 30 years. And the economics of that commitment, the true economics of owning a fighter jet, are the most extraordinary numbers in the history of government spending. And today I am going to decode every dollar of those numbers and show you exactly who pays, who profits, and why the system that generates these numbers is almost impossible to stop once it starts. The purchase price illusion. Here is the first economic reality of fighter jet ownership that most taxpayers never encounter. The $82 million price tag on an F-35A, the Air Force's standard variant, is the unit recurring flyaway cost. The price of the aircraft itself, stripped of the development costs, the infrastructure cost, the support equipment, the spare parts inventory, the pilot training pipeline, and the decades of maintenance that begin the moment the jet lands at its first operational base. When you add those costs, the full lifecycle cost of a single F-35A over its projected 30-year operational life runs between $264 million and $765 million on an $82 million purchase price. The jet you bought for $82 million will cost you between 3 and 9 times that amount to actually use, and the total F-35 program, all variants, all planned deliveries, all lifecycle costs, across all nations that have purchased the aircraft, is projected at $1.7 trillion, making it the most expensive weapons program in the history of human civilization. And the costs are still climbing. The operating cost that changes everything. Here is where the economics become genuinely extraordinary, and where the comparison to any civilian aircraft becomes almost meaningless. The F-35 costs between $44,000 and $85,000 per flight hour to operate. $44,000 every hour. The plane is in the air. A standard commercial airline flight costs approximately $2,000 to $4,000 per hour to operate. A fighter jet costs 20 to 40 times more. And those costs accumulate at a rate that most people outside the defense industry never comprehend. A single F-35 squadron of 24 aircraft, flying the planned annual hours, burns through approximately $212 million to $612 million in annual operating costs for one squadron of 24 aircraft. And the United States Air Force operates multiple squadrons, across multiple bases, across multiple theaters of operation, simultaneously. The maintenance reality. Here is the technical and economic detail that has generated the most controversy in the F-35 program, and that reveals how the projected costs diverge so dramatically from the original estimates. The F-35 requires approximately 45 hours of maintenance. For every 1 hour it spends in the air, 45 hours of specialized technician labor, using proprietary tools, following proprietary procedures, on proprietary components that can only be sourced from Lockheed Martin's authorized supply chain. For every hour a pilot sits in the cockpit, 45 people have spent an hour preparing and maintaining the aircraft, and those 45 people, trained military technicians with security clearances and specialized expertise, represent an enormous fixed cost of operating a fighter jet fleet. Regardless of how many hours the jets actually fly, the current F-35 mission capability rate, the percentage of the fleet that is fully operational and ready to fly at any given moment, runs at approximately 55% against a program target of 80%, which means that on any given day, approximately 45% of F-35s in the inventory are not flyable, undergoing maintenance, awaiting parts, or experiencing technical issues, and the cost of that unavailability, in terms of mission readiness, is not reflected in any of the per unit cost figures that appear in government budget documents. The pilot economics. Here is the human capital cost that makes the mechanical cost look almost manageable by comparison. Training a fighter pilot from initial selection to combat-ready designation takes between 3 and 5 years and costs between $11 and $21 million per pilot in flight hours, instructor costs, simulator time, aircraft wear, and administrative overhead. And at the end of that investment, the United States military has produced one of the most skilled and most expensively trained human beings on the planet, who can then receive a job offer from Delta Airlines or United or American, offering a salary of $250,000 to $350,000 per year, compared to the military's considerably more modest compensation package, and the military cannot legally prevent that pilot from accepting. The result is a continuous outflow of the military's most expensive human capital investment to the commercial aviation industry, which benefits from $11 to $21 million of government-funded training without contributing to the cost of producing it, the defense contractor economics. Here is where the F-35 economics reveal their most politically significant dimension, and where the numbers stop being about aircraft and start being about American political geography. Lockheed Martin, the prime contractor for the F-35, has approximately 1,400 suppliers for the aircraft, operating across 48 of the 50 American states. This is not an accident of supply chain optimization, it is a deliberate political strategy by distributing F-35 production and supply chain work across nearly every state. Lockheed Martin ensures that virtually every United States senator and almost every congressional representative has F-35 jobs in the district or state, which means that any politician who votes to reduce F-35 procurement is voting to eliminate jobs in their own constituency. And the political consequences of that vote make meaningful F-35 program reduction almost impossible to achieve through the normal legislative process. Regardless of what any cost-benefit analysis might suggest, the program has made itself politically indispensable, not by being the best military solution to every air power requirement, but by being the most geographically distributed economic activity in the history of American defense procurement. The Allied nation economics. Here is the international dimension of F-35 economics that most Americans are not aware of. The F-35 has been sold to 15 Allied nations, including the United Kingdom, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Israel, Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, and others. And those international sales serve multiple American economic interests simultaneously. They generate revenue that helps amortize the development costs across a larger production run. They create interoperability between American and Allied air forces that has strategic military value. And they create a long-term dependency relationship between the purchasing nations and the American defense industrial base. Because once a country has built its air force around F-35 infrastructure, trained its pilots on F-35 systems, built its maintenance facilities around F-35 components, and integrated its command and control systems with F-35 data links, switching to an alternative platform is not merely expensive, it is strategically destabilizing, which gives Lockheed Martin and the United States government enormous leverage in every future pricing and support negotiation with those allied nations. The Iran War Premium. Here is where the economics of fighter jet ownership connect directly to the 2026 geopolitical moment. The Iran War has accelerated defense spending across the entire American alliance network. Governments that were debating the pace of F-35 procurement are now accelerating their orders. Governments that had not previously considered purchasing F-35s are now in discussions, and the constraint on satisfying that increased demand is not financial, it is industrial. Lockheed Martin's production line in Fort Worth, Texas, can produce approximately 150 to 160 F-35s per year at full capacity, and the combination of existing orders, accelerated Allied procurement, and ongoing American Air Force and Navy requirements means the F-35 production line is effectively sold out for the foreseeable future, which is the most favorable economic position any defense contractor has ever occupied. A product with essentially unlimited government demand, a production capacity that cannot be quickly expanded, and no meaningful competition for the role it fills. Here is the honest truth about the economics of owning a fighter jet. The purchase price is the smallest number in the equation. The operating costs dwarf the purchase price over the aircraft's lifetime. The maintenance requirements exceed what was projected by margins that would be considered catastrophic in any civilian program. The pilot training investment bleeds continuously into the commercial aviation sector. The contractor economics are designed to make the program politically irreplaceable, regardless of military necessity. And the geopolitical moment of 2026, with the Iran War driving defense spending across the entire Western alliance, has created demand conditions that Lockheed Martin and the American defense industrial base will not see again for a generation. Jake looks at the headline again, 100 F-35s, $8 billion, and now he understands that $8 billion is not the cost of 100 fighter jets. It is the down payment on a 30-year financial commitment that will consume something between $26 billion and $76 billion in operating costs, maintenance, pilot training, and infrastructure for 100 aircraft over their operational lives. And somewhere in Fort Worth, Texas, a production line is humming, and 1,400 suppliers across 48 states are shipping parts. And in Washington, D.C., every senator on the Armed Services Committee represents a district where F-35 jobs exist. And the number keeps growing. You have been decoded. If this video showed you the true economics of the weapon systems that are being deployed right now in the Iran war and across America's global commitments, subscribe to Money Decoder 3004. Every single week, we decode the economics of the systems that shape every American's financial life, including the ones that consume your tax dollars in ways that most people never fully understand. Simply, honestly, and clearly, drop a comment below. Do you think the F-35 program is worth $1.7 trillion? Tell me below. I read every single comment, and I will see you in the next decode.